really an honor to be here. And with Jennifer, my wife, and I are both just tremendously honored to be here. New Mexico State University is near and dear to my heart. I was here for 20 years. We raised our children here. Both of our girls are graduates of Las Cruces High. To be brought back to be considered to lead this university is just a terrific honor for both of us. And so I'm just delighted. I've been here, I was here long enough to understand the really terrific things that this university does, the really good work that it does for the state, the really good work it does for our students. I was here long enough to have an understanding of some of the difficulties, some of the challenges that it faces, and I think here long enough to come to some conclusion of some things that we could probably do better. The university does a terrific job. It needs to do a better job of letting people know its story and getting the story out in its own words. That's actually a challenge for every university. That universities don't do a good enough job of messaging, and I'd like to see us do a better job. So that's the first thing, is just to tell the story of the university. Athletics is actually really critical. I'm actually at an institution that doesn't have athletics. I'm at an institution that is bigger than New Mexico State, but has no athletics program. And the issue that we face there is how is trying to build community in a place that doesn't have some of the things that are traditionally used to help develop a sense of community among students. And what we have here at New Mexico State is an athletics program that, in fact, that my students at University of Colorado Denver would actually love to have themselves. In fact, I've actually in a situation there where students have just voted fee increases so that they can have club sports. And there's no club sports previously. And what I have seen in the 5 years that I've been there is real pressure from the students for an athletic program, simply because they see it as a way of connecting with the university. And that's what athletics really offers, is an opportunity to connect with the university, connect students with the university, connect alumni with the university. And I have come to understand that being away in a place where that doesn't exist, just how important it is. And I'm surprised to say that. I'm surprised. I mean, 7 or 8 years ago, if you asked me, do I think athletics is that important, my answer would have been, well, it plays a role, but it's not that important. Being in a place where it doesn't exist, I've come to believe that it actually is really important with regard to building community, and something that New Mexico State should do, and should attempt to do as well as possible. I think the football program is integral to the athletic program. We're going to need to try and figure out how to make it successful. And I'm willing to actually study it fairly carefully with the athletic department to try and figure out how do we make it successful. The thing that people need to understand and this is something that across the country, athletics programs tend to lose money. There's only a few programs on the order of, I think, 25 or so in the country that actually make money with athletics. So there's always an investment of money in athletics. I think the investment is worth it with regard to football. We have to decide, okay, what are we investing versus universities that are our size, that have successful football programs. What's the level of investment? If it turns out that we're not investing enough, will it take just a little bit more investment to make it successful? If it turns out that we're already investing what other institutions are, why is it that our program is unsuccessful? What do we need to do to help it be successful? But I do think ultimately we need to try and do something to have a successful football program. Because football ends up reflecting on the institution much more strongly than one would think. And you don't ever want to have New Mexico State University, it's an absolutely terrific university, defined by a football program that has been relatively, I'd say more than relatively, it's been unsuccessful for a long time. Probably the most important thing that needs to happen if I was to come back here is to get out to meet not just faculty and staff and students, but get to meet everybody in the community, go up to the legislature, make an appointment, meet every legislator that I can, meet the donors that have been important and that we know will continue to be important to the future of the university. I can't think of any other way to help basically heal the wounds and help everybody feel better than to been to meet as many people as I can, to help them get to know me, help them, to help and for them to know Jennifer as well. I think that's probably the single most important thing that needs to happen, is just that engagement with the various constituencies of the university. One of the persons that I really had a tremendous amount of respect for because of what he did to help my department personally was Mike Martin. If you look at the Department of Biology, it was renovated during the period of time that I was chair of the Department of Biology. And I think that we got on the order of about $11 million from the state to do that renovation. And I was desperate. It wasn't enough money to actually renovate that building. I was desperate to find money. So I wrote a proposal to working with my faculty to the National Institutes of Health to try and get additional money for that building. And we got a really terrific score on the proposal, but it just didn't get funded. Somehow it just didn't get far enough along to actually get funded. And so I was, fairly devastated. And I sent the proposal over to Mike, and I said, Mike, we didn't get the funding for the proposal. And he basically came back to me and said, Dan, this is, really, really not great try. Thank you. We'll find the money you need to actually finish the building. And he did. And he came up with it. The university ended up coming with about $3 or $4 million additional dollars so that we could actually do the building right. And I give Mike tremendous credit because it was $3 or $4 million he didn't have, but he somehow found it. And he realized it was really important to the future of the department, the future of the university to do it. And he took, and I appreciate that, and I appreciate that sort of risk-taking on his part. MSU is, I would argue, should become the lifelong learning university in the state of New Mexico, and should be the lifelong learning partner. It's really well positioned to its alumni and to the people of the state of New Mexico. It's really well positioned to do that. It's already got a presence in every county in the state. It's got terrific outreach programs. It's got a strong community college system. And one of the things that we know going forward in the 21st century is that lifelong learning is going to be critical. Most people are going to have multiple careers. They're going to have to retrain probably more than once during their career. And they're going to need to turn to a place, they're going to need to turn to somebody for that training. And I think that the university should be the place that it turns to. We need to position ourselves to provide them with the support they need and with the educational services people are going to need throughout their lives now. And so I think that that's one of the things I'd really like to see, that I would emphasize for New Mexico State moving forward, is lifelong learning university for the state of New Mexico.